if you were president, you were in the White House, how would you approach the Israel-Palestine crisis right now?
Well, you see, I'm deeply concerned about trying to find a space for morality and spirituality and political courage in a world of overwhelming barbarity and bestiality. And so I'm running to be head of the American empire in order to dismantle the American empire. America should be a dignified and decent nation among nations and not an empire that other nations defer to. So what we have in the Middle East right now, and especially in Gaza with my precious Palestinian brothers and sisters, we've got a level of psychic, spiritual, military, physical violence that is just beyond description. And that's usually the sign of an empire in deep decay and decline and dissolution and disintegration. Because when you get a shift from one imperial center, and once that America is being decentered, you usually get certain forms of intense violence, like the genocide against Jewish brothers and sisters, our precious Jews in 1940, in the early 40s. That was a sign of the decline and decay of the European empire. Then a new era was in the making, and that new era produced the Soviet Empire and the United States Empire. Well, right now, Gaza, in many ways, is a pivotal moment because it's a sign of the lack of credibility, the lack of legitimacy of a world that's been dominated by the U.S. empire. And I, speaking as one who comes out of the bowels of the American imperial beast, that is to say, black people, like indigenous people, have been the underside of the American empire, deeply committed to morality and spirituality, telling the truth about the American empire and its satellite countries like Israel, keeping track of the crimes against humanity, keeping track of the war crimes, keeping track of the crime of genocide. And so to be in a campaign, which is nothing but a moment in a movement of a people. And keep in mind, my dear brother, 1953, it was black folk who brought the United States to the United Nations and said, we charge genocide. That was the great Paul Robeson. That was the great William Patterson. That was the great W.B. Du Bois. These are towering figures in the history of the American empire, but anti-imperialist, critical of the empire and its various forms of domination and degradation. So for me, it could not but be a choice to be in solidarity with any peoples who have been victimized by the U.S. empire. It could be overthrowing Guatemala, overthrowing Iran, overthrowing Panama. We've got a long history of U.S. imperial interventions in the world, Haiti and so forth and so on, killing Lumumba in the Congo. Well, right now, we have Israel and the United States intertwined in what? An enabling of an execution of the crime of genocide. And so I run as a presidential candidate and being very honest and saying, Joe Biden, you're a war criminal. You are enabling the crime of genocide. Kamala Harris, Lloyd Austin, Blinken, Sullivan, Kirby. I speak to you as American citizen to American citizen, but also as a Jesus-loving, free black man who's trying to find moral and spiritual space in a world of overwhelming bestiality and barbarity. That's what I see in Gaza. So I cannot but raise my voice, but also raise my voice in a context of the transformational forces and tendencies taking place on the globe.
Right.
And of course, we know this is not new.
Right.
We as human beings, we are wretched and a wicked species, organized greed, institutionalized hatred, and forms of indescribable indifference to the suffering of the vulnerable has been part and parcel of our history ever since we emerged from the caves in Africa. Right. But we're also marvelous and we're also a magnificent species. We can fight. We can dream. We can laugh. We can love. We can grin. We can sing. We can organize. We can be in solidarity like what is happening right now in Gaza. And my solidarity with them is forever.